What's up, guys? Welcome to the first cloudy episode we've had in over a month, at least on my end. We've had like 0 clouds in New Mexico for so long. I just had to get out here and time-lapse crap out of them. So Nisi sent me these filters. They reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to try some of their filters, and they had a bunch of square stuff I think that they were looking at. They have a whole new square system, but if you guys follow my channel, you probably know that I'm not really, I don't really use square filters that much, but I saw that they had these nice new round filter kits, and some of them piqued my interest. And this one is the long exposure kit. So I'll put a link for it in the description below. Before we go any further, let me just state, like I always do, this is a sponsored video in terms that they sent me these and they asked me to do a video on them. However, this is not a sponsored video in terms of them paying me. So they're not paying me to say anything. My thoughts are my own, good and bad, all that good stuff. Also, I'm not gonna do a full-on review of these yet because you guys know I like to have stuff for a while before I review it. And I haven't been able to use these that much. So in terms of technical, you know, color correction and vignetting, I'm not gonna go over all that stuff. I'll go over it in another video. So what I thought would be cool though is to show you, since there's such a dynamic range between, or there's such a broad range between the filters in this kit, it goes from a 3-stop, a 4-stop with a circular polarizer built in, to a 10-stop, to a 15-stop. So that's everything that's included in here. And I figured it would be cool with these clouds, they're going the right direction, to show you guys what it looks like with the different stops, to show you how much a 15-stop actually affects clouds. And I think we're gonna be able to find some water later. So it rained yesterday and we have a little bit of water. So momentarily, this is the desert, water doesn't last long here. But I do have a little bit of water in my favorite waterfall, so we're gonna hit that up next. But for now, let's go ahead and show you what I'm planning for this shot. So what I want here is, if I just meter here, I've got f11, 16 to 35 mil at 35, f11, ISO 100, 160th of a second. So that's just what the camera says is nice and pretty. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that shot. And that's just, you know, that's as much as I could do. The composition's okay, the mountains are cool, the little town is cool, the fluffy clouds are okay, but it's still just kind of a point and shoot shot. So if I want, that's a tongue twister, point and shoot shot. So if I want to add just a little bit of interest and a little bit of motion to up this from just a standard point and shoot shot, then I'm going to start adding filters. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to go through all of these. I'm just basically going to go from the first one to the last one out here, and I'll go through the rest of them with the water stuff, because you're going to see much bigger of a difference with the water. But if I put this guy on, so this is my 3 stops. This is like, they go in increments. If you don't know how ND filters work, the higher the stop, the less light it's letting in. So the longer you need to leave your shutter speed open. Your shutter open. The longer your shutter speed needs to be. You know what I'm talking about. So there, 3 stops. Your cameras go on increments of 1/3 in its exposure. So every 3 clicks is a full stop. So 3 stops, I would know that I would need to do 9 clicks to get an average exposure. Or you could just look at the back, put it in live view, look at the back, and then meter when it says 0. So on mine, that's f11, ISO 100, 1/40th of a second. That's not going to do anything. That's not going to freeze the cloud. I mean, that's not going to blur the clouds at all. So the 10 stop will a little bit, but we're going to go straight past the 10 stop for this. We're going to go straight to the 15 stop. Holy cow, did you hear that?
You almost lost your head.
Oh my God. Are those swallows?
They look like them. Are they the ones that have the...
Yeah, the pointy wings. Wow, we just got dive bombed by a couple of barn swallows, and they live in these caves, so it's not uncommon. I felt that though, like, oh my, that was intense. All right, 15 stop, here we go. So 15 stop at f11. It's saying it's 1/3 of a stop underexposed at 30 seconds, which is the maximum that I can do on here. So I'm gonna switch it to bulb mode, and I'm gonna change that and go up to 40 seconds. All right, so that was F11, 40 seconds with the 15 stop. Little bit of motion in there. I want more. So what I'm gonna do is, and this is like a last resort for the video, is I'm gonna do it open and I'm gonna close it down to F22. Normally you don't do that because the diffraction really kind of, anything past F16, F11, F13, like the higher you go, the more image quality you're gonna lose because of the diffraction. That's another video. But I'm gonna go ahead and do it to F22. I'm gonna calculate. I need about 2 minutes exposure. So if your camera has a bulb mode, well, all cameras have bulb mode, so you switch it to B and you have to hold the shutter down. But if your camera has a bulb timer built into it, like mine does, then you can go into that bulb timer and tell it exactly how long you want it to leave the shutter open. It's very handy. All right, so that was 3 minute exposure, F11, no, F22, my bad. F22, 3 minute exposure. Definitely a lot more movement. I think I'm gonna wrap it up right here for this spot because we're losing the clouds that I want. And this isn't exactly my favorite composition for this kind of stuff. So I'm gonna go see if I can find something better around here. There's one more composition, I think. But if not, let's head down to the water. Hopefully the water's still there. And we'll take it from there and I'll show you guys some water shots. All right, so we got some water, at least for like the next half hour or something, probably for like the next day or so, because we just got rain. So I'm gonna start with, well, let's start with the basics. So I'm gonna start with F11 because that's kind of the happy spot for my lens. 1/13 of a second because it's cloudy. This is the first day we've had clouds in like a month. There it is. So we've got a little bit, just at 1/13 of a second, we have just a little bit of motion. So we're gonna kick it up now to the 3 stop. So with the 3 stop on, that puts me at 1/6 of a second, F11, ISO 100. 2-second timer. All right, so we're gonna up it to the 4 stop. This is my favorite one because this is the one that has the circular polarizer built in, and for stuff like this, that's gonna make a huge difference. So that brought it up to 6 seconds with a 4 stop circular polarizer built in, F11. Now I'm gonna throw the 10 stop on. All right, so that's gonna give me over 30 seconds, so I'm gonna have to go into bulb mode and calculate what my shutter should be because it's gonna be over 30 seconds. All right, so since we're going over 30 seconds, you can use cheat sheets like the one that Nisi gives you with this kit, or you can use an app. I'm gonna use Photo Pills, and I'm gonna go in here to exposure, and then I've already got it set, so my settings were F11, and you can slide that. So F11, 1/13 of a second, 100 ISO, and then you come in here and you pick 10 stop. So I selected my 10 stop neutral density filter, and it's gonna tell you my exposure should be around 1 minute 20 seconds. So then I can go into my bulb mode and put that in, and it'll do the shutter for 1 minute 20. All right, there it goes. 2-second timer on there too, so it doesn't shake around as much. They have a 2 or a 10-second timer built in, and those are really handy to keep your tripod so your hand's not touching when you push it down for the longer stuff. All right, so the last one is gonna be the 15 stop. All right, so the 15 stop is super overkill for these cloudy conditions. And if I left it at F11, like I did, then because it's so dark outside, it's saying that at F11, we're looking at 42-minute exposure. And I don't want to sit out here for 42 minutes, and I certainly don't want to leave my shutter open for 42 minutes. So I'm going to adjust it. I'll drop it down to f5.6. So that says 10 minutes. I'll drop it down to f4. So that says 5 minutes. So we'll go ahead and try that. That says 5 minutes, 15 seconds. All right, I'll see you in 5 minutes. Okay, so first of all, there's a summer tanager right there. That's really cool. If you don't know what a summer tanager is, I just took this shot. Okay, second thing, this video timeline is amucked, and you could probably tell that from the fact that I've been wearing 3 different shirts. That's because I shot this on this is like the 3rd time I filmed this video, or at least this piece of it. So I wasn't too stoked about how the cloud pictures came out in the beginning. And I mean, they came out, they did their intended purpose in order to show the movement. And then I did get these cloud shots, which I did want to show you guys too, which might be a little bit better, arguably, for the composition. But I'm still not like, there's definitely nothing portfolio worthy in any of that. But that doesn't really matter in photography, always. You know, this, especially right now. Right now, I think it's just important to get out and keep your sanity, keep your creativity. And for me, it was just great to be able to hike around outside and do that stuff safely, of course. As you guys know, I live in a pretty small area, so there's nobody around. But the waterfall images, I think, were better, and I think they definitely showcased the steps better, the ND steps. So I emphasize that a little bit more, and I've been really happy with these filters overall. I know I said I wasn't going to do a review, and I'm not going to do a full review, but from what I've noticed, there's very little color cast, if any at all. The vignetting hasn't been too bad either, so I've been really happy with the quality of these filters. I'm definitely going to keep them in my bag. I did also want to talk about a couple of other ways that I would normally use these if we weren't on travel restriction and I had opportunities. You guys know I live in New Mexico, and I've been struggling to find any source of water or any source of clouds at all. We had 2 days of clouds, and right now there are 0, and there are 0 clouds in the forecast for the next few weeks again. And also right down there is my riverfront property. There's no river down there right now. It's just a creek, but it's completely dry already, and it rained 3 days ago was when I filmed the water thing. And all that water is gone, so that's bone dry now. So finding anything has been difficult. Anyways, the other things that I would use this for that I love doing are cityscapes, light trails, so shooting cars, long exposures with cars going by. I live in downtown Silver City, where there is nobody here, and definitely nobody right now, so that's out of the question. But when I travel, you know, going to actual cities with like more than 5 people, these are very handy for twilight, and even at nighttime, if you're in a really bright city and you still want car trails, using like the 10 stop or whatever would be absolutely great for creating those light trails and the car trails and all that. So that's one area where I would use this. Another area where I use this a lot, where I would use these a lot is, well, one is for time lapse, definitely for getting long exposure time lapses. So these options are great, having the 3, 4, 10, 15, depending on the length of each exposure you want. That's really handy. And then the last one in big cities, again, or touristy areas or whatever, is for blurring people out of the shots, basically taking people out. Instead of photoshopping them out, you can do a long exposure, and over that time period, their movements will be blurred, and you won't be able to really see any people in there, except for people who might be standing incredibly still or sitting in your shot or whatever. Same thing with cars. If you want to make a busy area look less busy, these, especially the 10 and the 15 stop, are what you're gonna want, and they're fantastic. I love doing that. I love going to crowded areas and then just blending those people right out, and that is a very handy thing. So I will keep these on me for those purposes in the future. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. These birds are really loud, and it's time for some morning birding and second breakfast. But hopefully I was able to give you guys at least a good example of how the different stops affect your images and how they show motion. And using ND filters like this is a great way to stay creative. It's a great way to open up your photography and try some new things. You can have a lot of fun with it. Hopefully you live in a place that has like more water, more clouds, you know, stuff like that, more things. Otherwise you have to get real creative like me. So if you have any questions about anything that I went over or didn't go over concerning these filters, again, this wasn't a full review, but if you want to see that, stick around, because I imagine in a few months when I've had more time to piddle with these, I will do a full review on them. But if you have any other questions about the technical stuff that I did, leave those in the comments below and you know I'll answer them. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I've got new videos every week. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. My tea is already cold just from sitting here. Just warm. It's all right. All right, let's go hunt some birds photographically.